You're on mute, right? Ryan. Ryan. Mute.
It might be helpful for me not to be muted. So here we go again. Welcome, everyone. Take two. Welcome, everyone. I am Reverend Ryan Pulley, and we are Soul Evolution Collaborative. And this is Strip Down Sunday, where we're kind of doing our own flavor, as we do here at Soul Evolution Collaborative, of a little bit of a Sunday experience. And so we're thrilled to have you here for some time for inspiration, some time for us to kind of share what our thoughts are and how we can move in this movement of personal transformation and communal evolution together. So we have this amazingly strong desire to bring this message out in new and innovative ways. And so this is a part of it. So two really quick things before we get started. So you're maybe wondering, if you've never participated in any of the events of Soul Evolution Collaborative, what's this community all about? Well, lucky for you, we have a website, soulevolutioncollaborative.org. Everything you could possibly need to know about this community and all the events that are going on are located on this website. So feel free to tool around the website, do some clicking, do some listening, do some reading, and ask some questions if you want to learn more about this community and the amazing things that it's doing in the world. And also, communities like this, our mission really is to bring the teachings of religious science and science of mind to the world in such a way that we actually make a difference, right? That's the benefit of the spiritual path, is not only having these teachings, but actually applying into their lives. And so this community is really making a difference in not only the community itself, but the greater world around us. And so if this is a mission, that's something that really jives with you and you would like to be a part of it, of course, take part in all the activities that we have to offer. And also, if you'd like to support it financially, it's through donations and support from our community members and the greater community that really allow this mission to have hands and feet in our world. All right, enough about the information. Let's get into what we're talking about today. So we are following today the global themes that have been put on by Centers for Spiritual Living. And so the theme today is dig deep. So this is always the case when there's something that we're going to be talking about or something that we're going to be in small group about, or any of our themes for the week. There's always opportunities, it seems, that come up in my experience to really practice and really look at what we're really talking about. And so today is no different. And so today, what you're really going to hear me is my big self sharing some insight to my little s self. And so you'll just be kind of eavesdropping on that conversation. So this week, I really started thinking about curiosity and how it plays into this idea of digging deep, digging below the surface, kind of really getting down to the roots of things. And that's what we think about when we hear the word dig deep, or come on, let's dig deep, let's see what's going on. Oftentimes it's kind of cliche, and the conversation surrounds how can we get below the surface level of an experience and really dig deep and look at what the roots are underneath. And so I kind of started thinking about curiosity. And for me, curiosity is, I think, the greatest of spiritual superpowers. This idea of really examining our thoughts, our beliefs, how we show up in the world, how we react to certain individuals, how we react to certain situations. Now, of course, this theory is always tested, and this week was no different. So I had this experience actually this morning where an individual approached me in conversation, and then something in that conversation pricked me, and man, my neck hairs were up, and I was kind of in this kind of this really intense reaction. And it was so not congruent with what was going on, but it was like this intense surge of emotion and reactivity just kind of came up, and it didn't feel right. And so I'm like, okay, let me stop here and let me ask the question that I often ask myself. Now, sometimes this is a daily question, and oftentimes not, it's like 100-time-a-day question. And so my question was, hmm, I wonder what that's about. So I was able to stop and pause, kind of breathe into it and think, what was that about? And as I began to reflect, as I began to peel away the layers of kind of what was below the surface, I realized, there it was. It was this little bitty box of a hurt, a little bitty box of a feeling of betrayal that I had experienced a long time ago. And so I kind of tucked this betrayal and this mistrust in this little bitty box, wrapped up in a bow, and just put it over here in this corner and kind of threw a blanket over it. And so when I experienced this interaction, immediately that thing jumped out of its box and was out my mouth before I could realize it. And so this idea of digging deeper, this idea of this contemplative life is this constant, I guess, rooting around in the corners, this constant rooting around in the closets of our minds and our hearts and our emotions and our soul, and looking at those things that maybe we've tucked away. Maybe we've tucked away because they were so painful, we couldn't really deal with them. And that's the only way we could cope with it. Or maybe we tucked it away because we really didn't want to look at it. And sometimes there are things in our lives that we really don't want to look at. And we would rather other folks not look at it too. So we tuck it away and we hide it. And so as we go throughout our life, we're going to have these experiences. We're going to have these challenges, interactions, no matter, and it may jump out, you would have no idea. It just kind of jumps into your experience without you even knowing it. And there it is. And so this can feel a little uncomfortable and feel a little disconcerting, but man, what an opportunity. What an opportunity to bring those things that have been tucked away below the surface. What an opportunity to dig deep and uncover these things and bring them to the light of our observation, to the light of the truth, to the light of the support that we find in community. And so when those things are brought to the light, we can see them for what they are. So they just become experiences. They don't become the truth of who we are. And so when we bring them to the light, man, we can really see, reveal these layers of things that maybe we have been living from all of our lives and didn't realize it. These kind of pancake layers of experiences that we've been operating from. So, the conversation at Soul Evolution Collaborative is always about how can we really hone in on this personal transformation and how I show up in the world. And then how that way of showing up impacts how I show up in community and ultimately impacts how we move about the world. And so when it's getting really curious about some of these old ideas, some of these limiting beliefs, which were great maybe 2 years ago, but maybe right now we've moved into an experience where we need to step from a different place. And so this spiritual superpower of curiosity gives us this opportunity to really look at wow, I've been operating from this old belief. And really, man, I really would like to shift that. Now, this also showed of my experience. Man, I'm having a lot of these collective experiences of old things showing up. I went to an individual's house on Friday for dinner, and they had beets there, and I am not a fan of beets. And so when the individual asked me, well, why don't you like beets? Well, I said a long time ago when I was a kid, I bit into a beet thinking it was a slice of cranberry sauce. You can see where you might get that confused. And man, when you are thinking it's going to be cranberry sauce and it's a beet, it's kind of like that aversion. And then from then on, I didn't like beets. And so I have lived my entire life beet-free from the age of 7. And so she said, you know what? Why not try a beet? It's been a minute since I was 7, so maybe you've changed your mind. And let me tell you, I did. I was open to that experience, open to not living from this old belief. And I tried a beet, and I'm going to tell you, I've been missing out. And so it just made me think about this is what happens when we pull back this layer of old beliefs or old ways of operating from a certain space, and we could really be willing to be open, to be open, to be open. Then new experiences can come into our lives, and then we can begin to live from these new exciting experiences and not these old stale experiences or beliefs. And so this is the opportunity to dig deeper, to get clear, and to cultivate new growth and transformation, to let go of what we don't need, to gather those things that serve us, and then to move forward a little lighter and in a direction that's very intentional. And that's not based on the way things have always been, the way I've always thought, the way I've always shown up, but being very intentional about how we show up and maybe a little bit lighter. So Socrates had this idea or this saying, and we talked about the unexamined life is not worth living. Now that seems a little harsh, I will say, but to kind of flip that around a little bit is to really look at the joy of an examined life. And what we mean by an examined life is a life that we continue to evaluate. We can continue to evaluate our thought patterns, our beliefs, the way we interact with others, the way that we talk to ourselves, the way we show up in community. And so continually examining those and making sure that they actually align with the truth. They align with these underlying values, the ways that we hold dear, the ways that we want to show up. And so what happens when we commit to doing this, because it is a commitment, is that we choose to align ourselves with the things that we know to be true. We choose to align ourselves with the universal principles, those God qualities we talk about, of peace, of joy, of wholeness, of worthiness, of abundance. And so this examined life gives us an opportunity to dig deep, dig back, pull back some of those underlying beliefs that maybe don't exactly point to the things that we hold true. And it gives us an opportunity to live from that space. And so that is the joy. That is the joy of the examined life. And it's not always easy because sometimes it's a little bit uncomfortable. And our bodies crave comfort, don't they? Especially in this modern world, especially in the United States. The discomfort is something to be avoided, and comfort is the ultimate goal. But is it? Is comfort really the ultimate goal? I think the ultimate goal, the ultimate adventurous path, is this daily stretching, this daily examination of how we can step out in new and powerful ways. And stretching can be uncomfortable sometimes, but man, on the other side of that, our adventures, experiences, new ways of being, new ways of seeing ourselves, new ways of seeing each other that we never thought possible. So that's the challenge. That's the adventure. That's the joy of the examined life. And so let's set that intention today. And so pray with me for a minute as we set this intention of showing up in new ways, as we set this intention of living outside this box, as we set this intention of uncovering and digging deep. So wherever you are, let's go within. And if you're driving, don't close your eyes. So we know that there is one power and one presence, one thing that is back of all things. There's not a place or space or situation or experience where this presence is not found. And what I know that I know that I know is this presence is who and what I am, that it lives through us, that it has its home in us, that it does its dance as us in this experience, that we are the individualized expressions of this one power and presence living in this moment in time, that we give hands and feet and mouths and brains to this presence. And so standing firmly in our connection to it, standing firmly in the idea that there is nowhere where it is not found. What I know is in this moment is our capacity for this examined life, the adventure of this life. Knowing as we turn our attention to those things that lie just below the surface, that more and more of this truth is revealed, that we sink deeper into our connection with this divine presence, we sink deeper into our connection with our own selves, and we sink deeper into this connection with those around us. And this is a pretty badass life. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our awareness. I'm grateful for this connection. I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful that we can show up as we are, mess and all, and knowing that it is all spirit. And so I release these words into the universe, into the spirit that always says, yes, give me more so that I can show you more. And even now, these words are being activated and clothed in form. And so we let them be, knowing that they are perfect. And so it is.